Sandman Nation, welcome. I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We are the St. Louis Syndicate. We're going to do something a little different this week, Brandon. Brandon's traveling. He's in D.C. You'll see his background's different. He doesn't have his traditional St. Louis City soccer stuff going on. And we're going to just change it up a little. We're going to let you into our insight. It's Thursday morning. Normally we record these on Wednesday evenings. We've done our homework. We've done our research. And ultimately, we're just going to go through our process with you. What do we look at when we're doing this? You may get some insights. You may get some flavorful cuss words. Brandon and I have not talked yet about any of the games. You're going to see us disagree. You're going to see us agree. You're going to hear how we do things. So, Brandon, what do you think of that? You good with that idea?
Oh yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
We gotta bounce back from last week.
Last week was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And it should have been good. When you have that many underdogs come back around, those are usually the ones that we're on the right side of, and we get killed on the favorites.
Yeah.
But, the way that we have been week after week after week of these favorites covering, it starts to make the numbers look wonky. I didn't exactly like go against my numbers and just go, hey, I'll just take a bunch of favorites. It's just, I think that the performances so far by the good teams and the bad teams have drawn those numbers out to the point that you kind of go, okay, now we're looking at numbers for this week and going, how much do I want to trust what we have going on here? So
we're in
that's
second
kind
guess.
of, yeah, because there are several of these that, I'm three of them, let's say, that I have a considerably larger favorite than the favorite is getting right now.
I'm curious to see what you've got on that. I can tell you what my numbers are. So if you guys don't know, Brandon and I create our own numbers. We run our own spreads. We try to figure this shit out effectively before the spreads guys do. I've got Indy at a minus 12.
Okay, that's tighter for me. I got Indy at minus 3.8.
Yeah, 12-7 on my numbers. And so, talk a little bit about, just so they know. I mean, so here's where I run, right? I run offensive points per game, defensive points per game. I punch in turn-in differential. I take a look at head coach values, quarterback values, a lot of different assessments, and I try to come up with what the final score is going to be. And then I take in and run some gap analysis around it, punch in home field advantage and come up with a number. And, if you look historically at my numbers, I'm probably about 50%. Some weeks I'm 30. Last week was like a 30. The week before I was like 70. So it's really hard to gauge because my numbers, Brandon, don't account for shit like injuries to quarterbacks. I mean, my data is my data. And, so I got to make adjustments on my plays off that. And, man, last week I adjusted wrong.
Yeah, no, and mine's fairly, this is, 4 or 5 weeks into mine, but I'm just using the wins, over-unders numbers.
Yeah.
And then the future strength of schedule, and then their performance against the spread so far this year, weighted to kind of, hopefully help normalize it, get us to a position where, the standard deviation is in the right spot where you get a true point spread-esque number that comes out the other side. And the first couple of weeks, it wasn't stretching wide enough to account for the favorites that were sitting there. And, and so, the way that you go down it where you go, hey, are we going to take into account injuries? Well, theoretically, mine only take into account injuries if it's an injury that's severe enough that it literally like changes the win total in the market. So,
quarterback or defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, basically, or something like the Jets this week that they just went and sold a bunch of their team. So then you go, hey, look, that is going to, regardless of how much they think all of those players are really worth individually, Sauce is worth, a real number. The rest of the guys probably are not. And then the market probably corrects for the fact that the rest of the team goes, at least some of the guys go, cool, I'm going
Yeah,
to start golfing more. Like, Brees Hall's apparently completely bent out of shape that he didn't get traded.
I heard
So,
that.
you
He's gonna
know,
quit, man.
yeah, like how do you take a guy, especially the running back, it's such a pure aggression position that like if you are not jacked up to go out there
You're
and
gonna
hit
get hurt.
people, like you're going to not run through contact. You're not like it's going to screw the numbers up. So, hopefully we can make some adjustments to that. And then like I don't have any home field advantage built into mine. So something like Indy, you go, hey, Atlanta coming to Indy. There's some amount of home field advantage. Obviously, Atlanta goes there every year. Indy's not exactly known as some crazy crowd place, but
Yeah.
you're going to get some amount of adjustment where, hey, me getting at a 3.5, you being above 12 means, there's a lot of, and we're seeing, Indy already pick up from 5.5 to 6.5. So clearly people are way closer to your number than mine.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean much.
No, but it means that
Because
there's at
last week
least
it was,
pressure on the Indy side.
yeah. I don't see Indy hasn't. They just lost, right? And I think they're going to bounce back. And
I think so too.
I don't believe in Atlanta. I mean, when you take a look at some of the stuff, I put the slides together. Wait till you see some of the shit I put on that slide. I'm like, who cares about some of this stuff? But Atlanta, I don't trust. I don't like them. I don't trust them. I don't want to play them.
No, the
Hate
only
them.
reason they covered last week is on two fluke plays,
Yeah, I don't even
or
know
New
who they
England would
are.
have covered that game.
Who are these
Like
guys? I mean, it's terrible.
it's one of those things that at home they the defense plays better, the offense then executes better because they're not behind, so it works out a little better.
Yeah,
But when
but
they go on the road like this,
our home away theory got blown to hell last week
yes,
because Carolina went into Green Bay and won. Kicked me out of Survivor. Thank you. Beat the hell out of
yes,
our picks, but that was
yeah,
atrocious. I mean, like I was
that
like,
buried me.
this makes me sick.
Yeah, it's a very odd thing with Green because like they clearly, I mean, maybe not clearly, this Kraft thing may
Oh,
legitimately break them.
that's a bad deal because he
Because I
was.
get it. Any one guy that's a non quarterback can only be worth so many points. But the reality is, if he's what you're pivoting off of for your explosive offense, then it starts getting a little weird. Something like that, I've got Green Bay as an underdog by 2.7 points.
This week.
Where, yeah, this week, where in the market, they're 2.5 point favorites over Philly.
Yeah, I've got Green Bay at .1. So I basically have the game as a pick 'em.
Yeah.
And for me,
And that's taking into account home field advantage, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, that's, reasonably because Green Bay does have a real home field advantage.
Neutral
So,
field, yeah.
you
Phillies.
know, that could, eat up a decent amount of the 2.8 points that we're separated by. But that leads me to go, hey, Philly, as much as I don't trust them either, but they play better. It's
Yeah.
getting better. They still have AJ Brown all pissed off.
So here's another thing, though, Brandon. I wonder what Green Bay stats are after a loss. Remember how we looked at that a couple weeks ago with Detroit?
Yeah.
Because Detroit just lost, right? They're playing Washington, and
Uh-huh.
my number is about the same as what the spread is. I've got an 8. It's at an 8.5.
Yeah, I got 8.9.
I don't like laying that many points with Detroit, but we also have learned in the last 3 years they definitely don't lose two in a row. Will they
No.
cover? I don't know, but we know they're going to be on
Yeah.
the winning side. So
It's
how
a hard
much?
number
But
on the road.
I wonder what Green Bay's after a loss is. I'm going to try to find their schedule real quick. Green Bay after a loss. So let's see. This year they went win win loss tie, win 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 loss. So apparently they're going to tie Philly, which is what my number says they should do. That's fucking atrocious.
Well, look, you know, obviously, one of the things that, we always look at is,
What did they do
you know,
last year?
getting on the right side of 3 and 6 and 7. And so, 2.5 points only does you so much unless you're weighing this out and you go, well, actually, it should be flipped the other direction. So that starts to lead me in the direction of going, yeah, Philly is probably, something to at least have on the short list to target.
So after a loss in 2024, Green Bay was 4-2. After a loss, they're 0-1 in 25. In 23, I'm just trying to stay with the head coach.
Yeah.
After a loss, they were 4-4.
Okay.
So
So, they lean a little bit towards bouncing back, but it's
not
not as strong as the Detroit thing.
no, the Detroit thing was crazy. Now I'm
Yeah.
trying to find out after a tie, division games, after a bye. Okay, Philly was is after a bye. So what has Philly been doing after a bye? Because they just came off a bye this week. They're on the
Yeah.
road. Results and trends. Let's see. Against the spread results. My stupid camera's in the way. Sorry, people. I got the camera. Um, okay, against the spread trends. In a non-division game, they're 4-1 with a. It doesn't say after 25 they haven't had their bye yet. Let me go to 24. Um, as a dog, in 2024, the Eagles were as a dog against the spread 4-0. As an away underdog 3-0. As an away team 6-2. Um, doesn't say anything. Oh, after a bye, they were 0-1 against the spread last year. And then in 23, after a bye, they were 1-0. But once again, non division games, non division games. I'm looking for non division. Oh, as away team 4-5. So they were not as good in 23. So if you think their 23 campaign is more like their 25 campaign, they're not
Yeah.
as strong.
And I don't really think they're as strong.
This year,
That it's
they're
something I've been, harping on for
they're 4-1
weeks.
against the spread in non-division games. They are 4-2 against the spread in conference games. Um, so that's kind of interesting, right? So
Yeah.
to me, their trends, the Eagles are the trending play here. So coupled with the fact that Green Bay looks rough. Now here's what's going to happen, though. You know what's going to happen is Green Bay is going to bounce back, win one at home, kind of keep this NFC muddled because they're good enough to, you know, cause problems for the Eagles. Um, I but I got to take the points this week. I'm going back to my roots, right? I'm getting tired of these favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, you know,
And my numbers say take the points.
yeah, yeah. And it, as much as I don't enjoy, like, it's got to even out
It's got to.
with the underdogs. Like that's the better side of it. It's the same with, we've got several like that from my numbers
All right.
where
What's your
we're
next
going, we're getting through the zero. So, we've got,
one?
we've got Jacksonville
Okay.
that, we're getting a point and a half in the Sandman pools. And I have them as 4.1 point favorites on a neutral
Give me your
field.
numbers.
Yeah, in a neutral field in my numbers. Now obviously that's a bit worrisome with Houston's defense and Sunshine out there doing all kinds of
Well,
goofy nonsense.
don't forget they've already ruled out C.J. Stroud.
But that's what I was going to bring up. That like that should hopefully at least even it out a little bit to say, hey, you. I don't think the guys who do they have as Mills. I
Yeah,
think is
Davis
yeah.
Mills.
So
He's
yeah, he
okay.
can't.
He's not going to hurt him, but he's not going to
No, but he
move
he
it.
just couldn't move the ball last week. I
Well,
mean,
he can't.
once he
He's
came
not
in there,
scrambling. He doesn't move like Stroud. He can't get
you
out.
know, yeah,
He can't escape. That's the big problem with Houston this year. Stroud's had to be on the move too much, and he's throwing the ball a lot. And Mills is not that kind of quarterback. So now they've got a strong defense with a non-mobile quarterback. I don't think it bodes well. My
right,
numbers, I have Houston as a half-point dog. Is what I have
okay,
Houston as. So I have Jacksonville as a half-point favorite. In this particular instance, getting points. Now that's
yeah,
that's including the quarterback change and the home field advantage, which my home field advantage is 0
sure,
in my mark. So I really, based on what you're saying in your numbers and my numbers, I think Jacksonville is the way to lean there.
yeah,
Anytime I'm getting points in that scenario, it probably makes sense. I don't think Travis Hunter, who's on IR, is that big of a number mover. I mean, he's been helping the offense and helping the
yeah,
defense, but I don't know if him being out changes the dynamic because I don't like that they let the Raiders in, and the Raiders are bad. Right? I think we can very easily say the Raiders are bad, the Saints are bad, the Titans are bad, the Jets are bad. I'm leaning the Browns are getting to the point where I'm saying the Browns are bad.
yeah.
So I mean,
Which is a fun one for this week
yeah,
because they're going up against the Jets.
yeah, that's bad versus bad, and I don't like that at all.
No, but I've got it flipped. I've got Cleveland as a 4.8 point favorite in my numbers,
Yeah,
and we're getting 2.5 because it locked before the Jets did all their nonsense. So we flipped from the Jets giving 2.5 to the Jets getting 2.5, and you know that's about as far as you can stretch it before you start going through some key numbers. So we'll see what the rest of the week looks like. But especially if this gets onto the three, through the three, that you know the downside is Cleveland being on the road,
mm,
which their defense doesn't seem to travel the way that it's able to play at home.
yeah.
Um, so I'm a little torn on that, but
I
I
don't.
just I don't know what the Jets are bring. Like at least Cleveland's still playing.
Yeah, well, can the Jets stop anybody now that they've traded half their defense? And can they
Well, and
score? They haven't been scoring. I mean, a little bit of
no,
bursts here and there.
yeah, and now even with it's one thing when Cleveland has to go on the road against I don't know New England a couple of weeks ago, who was putting up points, and then you go okay, so they don't put up as many. They're not able to stop them on the road like they would be able to at home.
So
Like
against
okay,
Cincinnati,
you
they
know,
scored 39, which I think has to be screwing up some of these numbers. This is recency bias because in their
sure,
last four games, they scored 6, 11, 22, and 21 against Carolina, Denver, Dallas, and Miami. They're bad.
yeah.
Now,
Well, I mean Cleveland in general,
has a
I've got
decent
them,
defense.
underperforming the spread on average by 1.1 points.
Yeah.
And then, normalizing that, it moves them a little closer to zero. It's more like 3/4 of a point when you take into account how everybody else is performing. So they're just underperforming where the market has put them each week. Uh,
Here's how Cleveland has played, though. So Cleveland started the season against Cincinnati with a 1 point loss to Joe Burrow. They lost atrociously to the Ravens in week 2 on a very healthy Baltimore team that we thought was going to run away with things. They beat Green Bay in a fluke, 13-10.
yeah,
And then they
Green Bay is
played
now famous
Detroit,
for.
Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and lost all of those soundly. They scored 10 points, 17 points, 9 points. And then against Miami, they scored 31 and won 31-6. And then against New England, they lost 13-2. So here's the thing I'm looking at. They haven't played many what we're calling bad opponents. So this
True.
is a bad opponent. This to me feels like the Miami game. I can see my numbers would think that Cleveland should win this game 28-6.
That's beating.
That's a
You
beating.
know.
But
You know.
but I have
So
no reason to believe that Cleveland can't. Okay, let's just say they scored their average, which is going to be 19 or 20. Okay, what are they putting up? I've got their number here. Hold on. Cleveland points per game average. Okay, 15.8. So they have a low average. That's
because
because
it's
they
really that one game.
yeah,
They've only scored more than 17 points
yeah.
against Miami.
And the Jets have been averaging 21.
But you're right. Like they've had the fourth hardest schedule up
Yeah.
to this point, and then going forward, they have the 29th hardest schedule.
Yeah. I mean,
So
because they've got the Jets and then they pick up Vegas and they got Tennessee. And
yeah,
they've got Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Chicago in there, and those are
yeah,
their
yeah.
toughest.
The only two good teams are Baltimore and Buffalo.
I mean, Cleveland could easily finish this season 8-8 or 7-9,
Yeah, no, they definitely could.
and it starts here with the
It
Jets.
just depends on like what they get out of the quarterback spot,
Yeah.
and if they have to move it around, and who
Once
does
again, this
Gabriel get any better?
this goes to our philosophy too, though, right? Our numbers make sense, and we're getting points. Anytime we're getting points and our numbers make sense, we got to
Yeah,
think about playing it.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely one for the list because
Yeah.
that when we get that big of a delta, and there was one other one that is just a huge swing.
I got a pretty big one that I don't trust in Buffalo -12 instead of 9.5.
Yeah, mine's at 12.4.
Yeah, so I mean Buffalo's favored in my numbers by a pure field goal over what the spread is.
Yeah,
What are we getting at Sandman?
8.5.
Man, that's a Buffalo play all day, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I just, when you get up that high in numbers, you just go, how much weight do I want to put towards it? How much do I want to lean on it?
Remember,
Because,
think
my
about the bad teams. Is Miami a bad team?
yeah,
Okay. Is Buffalo probably the number one team in the league right now after the beating of
I
Kansas City?
guess
Top five at least.
they for sure top five. We've had Miami has put up points. They've given up a bunch of points.
They have.
They have they have scored in the 20s 5 times and in the 30s once.
Yeah, their
So,
average points per game is 20, right on.
yeah. So
Buffalo's is
now
29.
if Buffalo can do what they did against KC last week and get that pressure up the middle,
Yeah.
they are going to mess Miami up.
Yo, yeah.
If for some reason they're not able to do that, then you go back to Buffalo basically being in a slightly above average team. I
Yeah.
think a lot of this is hanging on that these last 2 weeks, they have all of a sudden played considerably better than they did earlier in the year. And, maybe it's the front edge of them continuing to grow and execute. But
They came off their bye.
yeah,
They had
yeah,
Atlanta, they went on bye, and they've gone on a tear. And
yeah,
I have no reason to believe that they're not going to beat Miami like they beat Carolina.
yeah. Well, they should.
And they're not going to overlook next week because, I mean, they're not like looking ahead to Kansas City. They got Tampa next week, so they'll deal with Tampa 1 week at a time.
Well, and, for a team like that, you sure would hope that everybody would be on the same board we can't overlook any of these because, hey, we need home field advantage.
Yeah.
we need to force everybody to come here and play in the dead of winter to give us the best shot of this working. So yeah, at least that, excuse me, gets us aligned with what their desires should be.
So I've got down Cleveland for us, and this is what we do, audience. We figure out who we want to talk about, but you're getting to hear everything.
Yeah.
So honestly, we're not going to talk about those, but we still are in our five for the Sandman, even though we got our ass kicked last week.
Yes, that was a beating.
Cleveland is on the list, and then did we think Green Bay may or Philly, or were we
I
maybe
I'm
maybe not Indy, maybe not? I think Indy we've got to really look at. That line is
I'm
really short.
yeah, I'm very in. I need to go back and rewatch that game. I was kind of watching that game in a bar. So it's a little harder to entirely focus and see, Atlanta is not really a ball hawking team. And Pittsburgh just seemed like they were able to take advantage of every little edge they got. And I don't know that Atlanta can do that. So
They got pretty good pressure on Jones too. They were in his face.
okay.
There was a lot of pressure in there and some blitz schemes. I don't know if Atlanta can do what Pittsburgh can do on defense. And wasn't it
Wouldn't
at
think
Pittsburgh?
so. Yes.
I kind of see out Indianapolis coming out and trying to establish here, get Jonathan Taylor going early. I just don't see Atlanta being able to stop this team. This team is classified as one of the top in the NFL as of right now. And they haven't given us a lot of reason to doubt how they've done it. I mean, that doesn't mean that they won't or they won't flip around. But when I look at their schedule, they've handled Miami bad. They handled Denver okay. They handled Tennessee bad. They lost to the Rams. They handled Vegas. They handled Arizona. They handled the Chargers. They handled Tennessee. Brandon, they haven't played anybody.
Well, yeah.
Who the fuck have they beat? Sorry, guys. FCC. Who have they beaten?
Yeah, no, nobody.
Beat
Like
Denver in week 2.
yeah. No, that's the thing that stands out with them. And I think that's what the people that were on Pittsburgh last week were leaning on. That they were going, hey, they have had the 30th most difficult schedule so far, and they are now pivoting to the hardest schedule.
See, this is why you can't just trust data. Because the data that I have screams Indy. But when you look at in reality, so I need to figure out, you know what I need to do, Brandon? You might need to help me with this. I got to figure out how to get strength of schedule baked in as a score to
Okay.
adjust my line. So there's got to be a way that says, hey, yeah, Indy's really good data wise, but X% of their games has been against X bottom half of the league or X top half of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's got to be a formula or something we can utilize that I could throw in these numbers to tighten them up for strength of schedule. I don't know exactly how to do it. You're pretty good at that stuff, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah. We
really like
can.
my lines, but that's something it doesn't account for. And I think you said you've got it in yours.
Yeah. Mine is using it.
What's yours on Indy? You said it was a lot shorter than mine.
Yeah. Yeah. It was 3.8.
Man, you're
So
absolutely opposite me on that.
I think that is taking into account where, they have a very tough strength of schedule coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And um
It's a big deal.
because yeah, it's definitely adjusting it back. I mean, they're still in a position where they their weighted spread delta is above 8.
Mm-hmm.
They're like it's the highest, yeah, the highest that's out there. Now, one of the things that's limiting it some is that they have done that well, and their over under still hasn't really moved up. Like, we're really flattening out here. Like there's a bunch of teams that are in the 11.5 range of wins. Buffalo's the only one that's up at 12.5. So I think coupling those two together is what is holding that spread down. But it doesn't seem right
No.
of like watching what Indy has done and then go, Atlanta is my individual score for them is a negative point 0.6 for Atlanta.
Yeah,
You go
Atlanta's
like,
not good either.
right, like, and they've, when is their
They've lost to
past?
bad teams. They've beaten good teams. They've beaten
Yeah,
middle teams. They've lost to middle teams. I mean, they are really a hot mess. I can't get a finger on them, man. Like, they
yeah,
lost to Tampa. They should have. They beat Minnesota. Probably shouldn't have. They lost to Carolina. Why? They beat the Commanders with Jaden. What? They beat Buffalo. What? They lost to
yeah,
San Francisco. They maybe shouldn't. They lost to Miami. Why? They lost to New England. They probably should have, but they almost beat them.
yeah.
I can't get my finger on it.
Well, and that may just be something that we go, these teams that are inconsistent, they get fenced off somewhere, and we just go,
We're not betting.
yeah, we got to make a pick on one side or the other, but it's not going to the super contest.
They're
It's
low.
yeah, it's going to be a low confidence point because I don't I think that there's a version of Indy that can show up like they did last week. I kind of think it was spot dependent. Um, but they also they just they haven't played a lot of hard teams. So as they start playing harder teams, we're going to find out if they can raise the occasion or not. But if they play down to Atlanta, then they're going to give Atlanta the opportunity to cover.
Yep, totally agree. All right, let's cover one last one, man, and then we'll kind of bounce through some Survivor stuff because we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
We could sit and talk for days. What they don't realize
Yeah.
about us out there is that we talk for 2 hours before we actually record in 40 minutes. What are your
Right.
thoughts on tonight's game with Denver?
I have
Mine num-
Denver is 12.8.
Mine is 10.9, so 11. Now I don't know if that's
And
just because Vegas is terrible.
yeah, I've got Vegas as a negative 8.5 and Denver is 4.3. So it's definitely being drug way down by Vegas and the fact that they've underperformed their spread so drastically. They
Yeah.
are the worst team against the spread, outperforming Tennessee. So
I don't think that Vegas can beat Denver. I just don't think they can. They can't put it all together and beat them. But can they cover? Well, I've got it at 8.5. What do we have it in the?
9.5 in Super Contest.
Is it really?
So we're still under 10,
Yeah.
which is kind of the number that I would start worrying about once you get above 8 anyway. But it does jump out there because there's also a bunch of numbers that um, I have heard from several different podcasts about how poorly teams that play overtime then come to the next week and underperform
Really?
versus the market. And they're having to go on the road at elevation. So there's a lot of things pointing the direction tangentially towards, hey, Denver's kind of getting their shit together. Vegas, the wheels are coming off. It's definitely, one of those. It's going to be a huge number for anybody who hasn't played Denver. It feels like that there's going to be a huge concentration of people around Denver for Survivor this week.
Yeah. I agree. Hey, let me throw this at you. So the spread's 8.5, 9.5, right?
Yeah.
So here's what Denver has done this year. They've beaten through whatever they are, through 9 games. They've scored more than 8 points and covered a spread of 8 points twice.
Yeah.
They're playing to the level of their talent. They beat Tennessee in week 1 by 8. The Colts they lost by 1. The Chargers they lost by 3. They beat Cincinnati without Burrow 28-3 at home.
Yeah.
Philly they won by 4. Jets they won by 2. Seriously? That was a neutral site. That was over. Giants they won by 1 at home. Dallas they throttled at home. Covered the spread.
Yeah.
Houston
Yeah.
they win 18-15 away. Why do we think in this game against a division opponent that they're going to all of a sudden win by 10? Is it because Vegas is so bad? We need to look at Vegas and see what they're covering.
I mean, that's definitely what the opinion is.
So Vegas lost to Jacksonville by 1. They lost to Kansas City 31-0. They beat Tennessee. They lost by 30 to Indianapolis. They lost to Chicago by 1. They lost to Washington by 20. They lost to the Chargers by 50, no, by 10, and they lost by New England 7. Or they beat New England by 7 in week 1. They're fairly inconsistent around how they're competing game to game. That I guess that's really what I'm trying to look at. How are these
Yeah.
teams competing? Because if we don't have a given edge and we think we've got a number that's weird and a big spread, this is where I go and I go, all right, how are they competing? And to me, I almost feel like on a Thursday night, short week, why is why are the Raiders not going to compete to make this thing Denver wins 34-28 or Denver wins 24-18 and they're very happy to get out with a W in Sean Payton's mind. They don't
Well, I mean, they for sure are not aligned with winning this for margin. There's
Sean
no
Payton's not that
upside
guy.
for them.
No.
And the the question out there is, does Bowers do what he did last week
Not against
this
the
week?
Denver defense.
Well,
I mean, they did that against Jacksonville's defense.
but if he's back and he's healthy and he's puts up half of what he put up last week, if Denver goes in and just completely shuts him down, then Vegas may not score.
Yeah, it could be just like Kansas
But
City
if
did
he,
to him.
if he opens up the field and that gets other people involved, and that's how this starts snowballing, where all of a sudden you look up and maybe he only scores once, but he opens it up so a bunch of other guys can score, and it's a lot of points to lay.
That's the problem. It's a lot of points to lay, and traditionally we don't like those.
No, and especially not on Thursday nights.
No. I wonder what Thursday night games have been scoring. You have any of that data anywhere?
Oh. Not particularly. I mean, I can kind of. So, week 1, Philly beats Dallas 24-20.
Yeah.
Week 2, Green Bay beats Washington.
Okay.
Week 3, Buffalo beats Miami. Week 4, Seattle beats Arizona.
Man, I can feel where
Week,
this is going.
yeah, week 5, that was the San Francisco beating LA when they had half their team not playing.
Yeah.
The Giants double up Philly, week 6.
Hmm.
Um,
Wait, that's the
week se- week 7, Cincinnati beats Pittsburgh 33-31. That was Flacco's first game, right?
division rivals. Yeah.
Yeah. Chargers beat Minnesota 37-10. And then last week, Baltimore whips Miami 20.
So that doesn't give me the trend I was hoping for. I was hoping to
No,
see more shorter. Early on, it was shorter.
And then it started opening up.
It started opening up as teams got discrepancies. I was trying to find a belief system to play Vegas. I still don't have it necessarily. Let me check one more number that I like to look at. Ooh, okay. 50,000 bets are in already on this game, Brandon.
Okay.
34% of the bets are on Vegas for 50% of the money.
Okay.
66% of the bets on the Denver for 50% of the money. Something to monitor there. If this thing gets up to 100,000 bets, which it will, do we have a short number of bets and a high percentage of money on a given team? That's usually a trend.
Yeah.
Sharp guys are playing the dog here.
Yeah. And I guess we can watch it throughout the afternoon and see if that delta continues to open up. Like that's not an enormous money to ticket difference, but it's a strong difference. So we can kind of see see as the afternoon goes on because for whatever reason, I try to grab the numbers every morning. Every morning they've been at 9.5.
Yeah,
Gap locked in at 8.5.
yeah,
So that must have been during a swing on Tuesday,
yeah. That was weird.
which means the number's been pushed around. But this is one of those games that like if it's 21-0 halfway through the second quarter, you go, obviously. But then it's so simple to just goof a play or two, and then Denver's down, and then they don't even try to win by margin.
Yeah,
They just get the lead back and then sit on it.
which
But it looks like
I mean,
on
Peyton loves running the 4 minute offense with 8 minutes to go. He loves making Bo sit under center until 1 second's left.
well, yeah. Why if you have an offense like that, you should be. It's one of the things that's frustrating me to no end about my over under bets is it feels like these teams that have a lead are snapping the ball when there's 15 seconds
I
left
agree.
on the clock, and you just go, what are we doing here?
What's the rush? Why are we?
Yeah,
They were doing
I
that this
get it.
weekend.
There's a bit of a timing thing to it that you want your offense to stay in rhythm, and I'm mostly talking about college, so the guys are not as professional,
Disciplined.
but yeah, but I don't, yeah. Bo, if they get a lead, we're going to be watching them snap the ball with 2 seconds, on the play clock, because there's no reason
Peyton's disciplined.
to get down to the end of the game and go, if only we would have burnt another 2.5 minutes off of this. He's not going to screw that up.
Good teams don't. Mahomes doesn't do it. Allen doesn't do it. Peyton's not going to let them do it. There are some undisciplined coaches that don't worry about that as much, and it's problematic. And you're not going to run into that. I don't know. I think right now I'm leaning towards probably not putting them in our top 5 plays, but I'm probably leaning towards the Raiders and a low point and gap. Maybe down in maybe around like a 5 or a 6.
It feels like that's probably what it has to end up being.
Because after getting beat last week with so many favorites, not covering and knowing better, I think I'm going to readjust. I'd rather lose with my common sense than win.
Yeah.
Rather lose with my common sense than win with a strategy of just hope and a prayer.
Yes. Now you're right that like as much as it, is problematic when it doesn't go the right direction, if you just stick with the strategy, it ends up working
Yep.
in the long run. So, okay. Well,
all right. Well, I don't think we've got our 5. I think we've talked through a couple good ones.
yeah.
We'll probably need to reconvene on maybe Saturday afternoon
Yeah.
just to touch base and go, hey, who are we looking at for Sunday morning, and then kind of go from there. Remembering
Yep.
we do have a a European game this week, I believe.
We do.
So
That's the Indy
yeah,
Atlanta game.
and that's another reason that it could be
Weird.
weird.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna flip up our
Yeah. Let's
our
talk about some
nonsense
power rankings.
just to take a look at some nonsense. Look at this stuff. So Power Five. I know we really haven't talked about the Power Five, but I kind of threw these up there right now.
No,
Buffalo,
I'm with you here.
Detroit, Seattle. I mean, New England had to climb up there, right? They just keep winning, for God's sake.
Yeah. No, that's definitely in Seattle's one that we didn't really talk about their game. That that is one that's the third game that really my number, I make them like 10.2 point favorites,
Yeah,
and we're hovering around one side or the other of the seven,
yeah.
depending on what contest we're talking about. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch
I've got
because
them
I
at -8.
really, after, yes, Washington kind of fell apart and then Daniels got injured and it was chaos, but they went to Washington and just held them down and did whatever they wanted to them.
Yeah,
And just it went, hey, Darnold just stood back there and just threw the ball wherever the hell he felt like it.
yeah,
And so I really they are starting to separate themselves from everybody else with their consistency. Even if you go, yeah, Buffalo's probably better than they are. And, you know, look, I'm still on the side of that. Hey, the Chiefs, I don't see how they don't get there and then start winning games in the playoffs and, they end up in the top five by the time we get to the end of the season.
yeah.
But right now, after failing to play offense the way that they did on Sunday, they've got to move back down.
They can't be in the 5. I'm not sure that Denver belongs up
No.
there, but I can tell you this. The Chiefs don't necessarily belong there. The Packers definitely don't belong there. I'm so pissed off at those fuckers. The
Yes.
Ravens, they could get there, right? You watch what they do. We'll see. The Colts, all right. You guys are just wishy washy. But the
The
haters gonna
Rams are the
hate.
one that I'm on the edge with. Like if they, especially look, they're going into San Francisco this week,
Yeah,
and I have my numbers have San Francisco as a slight favorite, and in the market they're 3.5, 4.5 point underdogs.
yeah,
So if the Rams go in there and cover, then I think they've got, we're going to be talking about moving them up towards the top five, depending on, how everybody else plays. But like they're the one that I feel like can jump because of what their offense can do if everything's clicking.
yeah. Totally, totally agree there. Now my numbers on that one have. So you and I, this is another area we got to reconcile. I bet this is a strength of schedule issue also, because I'm showing San Francisco should be 4.5 point dogs. So I'm saying the Rams should be favored by 4.5
Yeah.
in my numbers,
Yeah.
and I'm going to guess there's a strength of schedule play in there that is,
Yeah.
or I'm taking into account less for Mac Jones than the
When
normal.
San Fran so far has had the 13th hardest schedule, where the Rams have had the 18th. So they're both kind of there in the middle.
Yeah.
Going forward, the Rams have the 11th hardest schedule, and San Fran has the 23rd.
Okay.
So it's definitely giving San Fran some of that oomph to go, hey, you've performed this well so far, and your schedule's getting easier while the Rams are getting harder.
Yeah.
But, when I look in predictables, a fun one that I pull up and like to look at because they really, whatever math they have behind this, they get some outlier numbers. They have the Rams as the second best team.
That is so weird.
They've got them as the sixth best offense, the third best defense. So and they have the Chiefs as the number one team. having the second best defense and the fourth best offense. So that's, they definitely, it's you know
I,
I try to not let it impact me too much, but it is a fun thing to have as just a variable to go, hey, when you're just looking at these pure numbers of just power ranking offenses and defenses,
yeah,
how does this actually, how does it work out? And they definitely get some outliers.
yeah. What's that called again? The perpetual or what? The
Unpredictable.
unpredictable.
Yeah.
I have to look it up.
Yeah,
I guess
it's
I said perpetual. I was reading my own screen here. The perpetual mid: the Cowboys, the Panthers, the Steelers, the Bucks, and the Cardinals. They're just perpetually in a state of eh. I could probably put the Falcons down there, but
yeah,
I like that. I have seen this movie and I know how it ends. For those
for
guys,
sure. Yeah, I Cincinnati is um that defense is surprising. Like that is for all the bad defenses we've had,
oh yeah,
that is a surprisingly bad defense.
yeah,
I could not believe the amount of scoring that went in that game on Sunday, and it's a very interesting one to have out there
yeah.
when the team's basically dead in the water and their defense just goes, we're not really going to try at this going forward.
I think as the season goes on, I'm going to need a longer line for we quit.
Well, and look, that's always a fun one to go, hey, who do we have in the category that just goes, these teams are dead.
Yeah,
It's over. Like they haven't had a game where they've shown fight for several weeks, and you just go, we'll just move them down here, and slowly, yeah, you kind of end up in these three camps where you go, hey, here's the teams that are consistently good, here's the teams that are giving up, and then here are the teams that threw up the picks
yeah,
because sometimes they play well and sometimes they show up and just don't try.
yeah.
So yeah, this will be fun to go this direction and kind of over time be able to slowly break them into some categories.
You'll find out eventually that these top two, maybe the top three, are the ones that end up being the playoff teams.
Yeah, I would be astonished. I mean, like, I guess San Fran and Tampa are the only two that are below that line that I would go,
They probably will
yeah,
come
maybe
up.
they do it.
They'll come up.
Maybe they'll figure out a way to get up. Because I don't have a lot of belief in McCarthy. I think I think after this week we'll be back to questioning Minnesota's decisions around letting go of a quarterback that now is leading
A top five team,
a top five team.
and
And,
they were a top five team last year.
yeah. And so, if Baltimore is as healthy as they seemed like they were last week,
Yeah,
they should go in and put some work in on Minnesota. Because I don't remember, and maybe, throughout the rest of the week, we can go back and look at it. I don't remember the Flores defense being a huge impediment to Lamar's way of playing offense.
yeah,
So I think they should be kind of impervious to that type of voodoo magic that happens sometimes where a team that is just perfectly misaligned with Minnesota, where they go in there and they just can't move the ball.
yep.
And, so as long as that's not the case with Baltimore, and I don't remember that being the case, that should be a fun one where, I've got Baltimore as 7-point favorites and we are playing around in the 3.5, 4.5 range. So that should hopefully be a favorite that we can actually lean on and it hopefully work out in the right direction.
Interesting for sure. Well,
Yeah.
hey Brandon, let's bounce over, talk a little bit about Survivor. I know
Yeah,
normally
let's do it.
you haven't seen some of the sheets that we use, but I'll just for proprietary purposes, I'll just kind of keep it as it is.
Yeah.
You if you've watched this and you're interested and you like the general format of us just bantering as opposed to a more buttoned up approach on games, drop us a line, send us a note, say something, let us know.
Sure.
Because, we can do this format just as easily, and it's actually probably better for it
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
the other
Like and
format.
comment.
But like, comment, let us know. Let us know. So Survivor, we're 30-10, and I got to tell you the rough part about Survivor. God damn, I lost. I lost. I'm so mad about it. I should not have lost on the pack. They were the top favorite of the week, and we lost. But here we are. We're at it again. Brandon, just for your edification, here's what our percentages look like. Buffalo's hanging out around 80% in the top of the list, and we've got
Yeah.
Denver at 78. And you'd mentioned earlier in the week that you felt Denver was probably going to catch a lot of plays this week against the hapless Raiders.
Well, the interesting thing that I noticed from our Sandman contest is that it really narrowed in. Only four teams were chosen last week
Yeah.
across 102 people.
Mm-hmm.
So I I I'm guessing that we will probably see the same sort of scenario with this sort of line spread where, hey, Denver and Buffalo end up being, a huge amount of picks. And then there's a little Seattle. And I'll tell you the one that I'm going with this week, not to get ahead of ourselves or anything. I think Carolina's the play this week.
Uh,
I think I think the guys that go in and take a run at Carolina at home with New Orleans coming to town, they're yeah, that
I did too.
yes.
We're on the same
Yes.
page, which
Yes.
means Carolina's losing.
Well, that is, an unfortunate possible outcome of this. But, the only survivor pool that I'm left in is one where you keep playing and you basically accumulate wins versus losses, and
Yeah.
whoever has the most wins at the end ends up winning. So I have to get aggressive
Yeah.
and then hope that these top plays sputter
Lose.
and fail, because at this point I'm at three losses.
Okay.
So
Which is a
after
fun
having
concept for a survivor pool. Maybe Bill ought to think about
it
that.
is. It is a fun one. The issue comes down that if you were going to do a bigger pool, you would have to come up with some sort of tiebreaker.
Oh yeah, because there'll be a whole bunch of
Because,
guys that are
this one that I play in, it's only like 30 of us. And it's lower stakes. So, hey, the fact that a couple of people tie at the top and they split the pot, it's not that big of a deal.
yeah
It's more, you know, people at one of our ex companies, just kind of having fun.
yeah yeah yeah.
So, but if you turned it into, a pool where, hey, you get 600 entries, you could get to the end and have a third of the group have, two losses, and
Well, I
then it's
mean, some
chaos.
of the tiebreakers will be how long did you go undefeated, and then maybe
Well,
how long did you go second, your second time, those kind of things.
yeah. Or, doing, something around, I don't know, maybe confidence,
Yeah.
that you can actually gain. You go, hey, we're going to do this for 18 weeks. You get to play an 18 all the way down to a one, and you accumulate, points along with your,
Numbers.
kind of a guts thing, right?
Yeah.
You kind of that sort of structure where you go, hey, you get to the end, and whoever accumulated the most points and has the fewest of the fewest losses, then that is how you end up breaking down.
That actually
And
makes a
then,
lot of sense.
you could start off the season and go, hey, I'm going to try to grab my 18s early when everybody else is still trying to decide who's the best teams. Or you go, hey, I can wait until the end and you have a little game theory of, hey, I can close on people because I'm just plays in ones and twos and threes at the beginning. And then when I got a better idea, I think I'm going to be able to handicap better than everybody else. So then I'm going to have my 18s and 17s and 16s left. That sort of thing. That just kind of off the top of my head. But it is an interesting thing, and it keeps everybody engaged for the whole year instead of, Survivor ending and it just being the end of it.
Yeah, and then
But
trying to reboot. And yeah, I like that
yeah,
idea. Bill, we got to talk.
now,
We're going to have some ideas for you.
yeah, that's not a, I don't immediately see the hole in that.
Yeah,
So, you know,
we'll see.
we got our team playing Tennessee. Tennessee's on a bye week finally.
Yeah, finally.
So yeah. So yeah, I think these three are good. Obviously, Buffalo and Denver are straight ahead. It's what you're trying to do. If you're not trying to save them for later on, then you let them rip. I do think though the Carolina and and Seattle are the other two that are hanging out there. Obviously, Seattle being in division is a little scarier. The way that the West plays each other, like obviously Carolina and New Orleans are in division as well, but New Orleans just it doesn't seem like they can put an offense together anymore. Which, funny enough, is no longer Carolina's problem.
Right.
And as confusing as it is to change your mind on that, to have this opportunity to play Carolina when at the beginning of the season the assumption was that they were probably just going to turn back into a pumpkin
Right.
and they'd be right down there with Tennessee and New Orleans, and the Jets as teams that you cannot play for any reason ever. And now all of a sudden maybe they're a survivor pick in week 10.
So
So yeah,
weird. But yeah, true.
hooray for Panthers fans.
Yeah.
They haven't had a whole lot to hang their hat on here the last couple of years.
So weird. But and I'm not sure it's going to continue too much, but this is the week for sure this week.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, especially, if you're out there and you still have multiple entries left, put one of them on Carolina.
Yeah.
Like, early on this week when I saw these spreads, it popped to my mind because I was, talking to my brother. He still has an entry left in one of his. And
Lucky bastard.
yeah, and he was like, I think I'm just gonna go Denver. And I went like, look,
You went, look,
it's
I've
just
been eliminated, but here's what you should
yes.
do.
But I just went like, hey, this Carolina thing, if they win, the person that ends up winning the pool probably played them this week. Like you're kind of creating a pivot point for your entire season right here.
Yeah.
But if they do end up winning, that puts your entry in a very positive position to not have to burn one of these top 10
Yep.
teams this late in the season. So I think he didn't really expound upon his thoughts, but yesterday he came back and went, I looked into it. I'm off Denver. I'm going Carolina. So we're all going to be rooting in the same direction here for him to stay alive because he's in one of the I think he's in still one of the big ones.
Oh, good.
So hopefully he can carry the torch here for the
Somebody needs to
family.
carry the torch.
Yeah.
Clearly, we didn't. He keeps asking for a guest spot. Maybe if he gets a little bit further down, we can ring him in for a guest spot.
Well, what we're closing in on is guillotine ending.
Oh yes, that is getting
And he's still in the
alive in
running.
that. I saw
So
that.
I've been thinking that, like, hey, if we get down towards the end or he figures out how to win, it may be time to
Have a guest appearance.
yeah, because it may be time to bring in whoever wins guillotine.
Yeah, that's true.
Since that's kind of something that we sponsored
Yep.
and that sort of thing. If it's somebody that wants to come show their face and talk.
Yeah. Guillotine's been fun, man. It's been fun.
It was a blast. Even getting bounced
Yeah.
early on, I've still been watching it every week, and it's very interesting. Same with I got in on the spreads guillotine.
Yeah.
Also, I got bounced 4 weeks ago, and I am still like number 5 overall.
Really?
I was doing so well up until I crapped out that I had accumulated enough. And it's interesting. That's the difference between something like Gap and Guillotine,
Yeah.
is that when you don't have to put weights on anything, picking against the spread. Well, up until last week, I was above 57%,
Yeah.
just pure picks.
Not
Now,
anymore.
well, I'm at 50. I am one play above 500.
Oh my.
I'm 68 and 67.
Oh my god.
I
I'm not that
tumbled
good.
all the way back to even. So yeah, it was very interesting thing. Like obviously last week I would have got eliminated
Yeah.
if I was still that would have been hilariously funny too. Now, the second guy from the bottom is 7 picks ahead of me or something like
Oh
that, and
yeah.
just go, I don't have to worry about the afternoon games. Like this would have been done in the morning probably,
Oh yeah.
and everybody could have taken a load off, even in the 3 o'clock games.
It's
So
awful.
now it's time to bounce back
Yeah,
and
that's what
take
we
a
do.
run at it here.
We got to bounce back. I do love the guillotine leagues. I think that it's just fun to see those. I find myself gravitating more towards those types of things, whether it's fantasy, whether it's
Picks.
in general the picks. I could see a mix though of you got to have a clear guillotine and you got to have a survivor with confidence. And then you can have just a pure survivor. I mean, they're all kind of a similar mindset, but there's going to be different people who like different things. And maybe a pure guillotine, I'd want to pay a little bit more of a premium to try to win big because it's going to be all mine. And then maybe pay $50 for one that lasts longer in the season.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just a different price point where I'm like, okay, well, my price point here, I'd be willing to say $50 for the guillotine, 100 for the long season one because I get more bang for my buck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just different things.
No, that's always the genius behind
Yeah,
Gap, is that
yeah,
you're playing it out.
yeah.
Now, you could play it out infinitely poorly
Whoa, it gets
and
bad.
have to cut quite a check at the end. But, that's the only downside to guts,
Yeah,
right? Is that, you get bounced and you go, I love playing this thing. And week 2, I lose.
and then I'm
And
pissed.
you go, and then, yeah, you go, and Bill refreshed it, and I just couldn't bring myself
I
to
did
try
the
to take
same
another
thing.
run at it.
I did the same thing. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. We've got to
Yeah.
find a guts scenario where it stays. You get to play the whole season and gather confidence points, and I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the issue is you could go like, hey, you have to find the right
Yeah,
penalty to balance it perfectly, because you can make it absolutely debilitating where you're basically eliminated,
yeah.
you know, and then it's the same thing when it comes down to it. But you also don't want to game it where you can get out to a little bit of a lead and then sit on it and take negative points and stay out ahead of people with easy picks. Like you got to find that right
Oh no,
balance.
here's how it works, in my opinion. You set it up, and I would do this. You increase the payment from 100 to 150,
Yeah.
and then you pay 75 out to the pure guillotine game of guts. And then as soon as you're
Okay.
out, you move into the other pool for the other 75. And then you play the confidence levels out. Now, your points from the first weeks count towards that one.
Yeah.
But so you have to be smart. You're playing in two pools. You're playing to survive and win a prize, and you're also playing. Then as soon as you're out of that, you can't sandbag or anything because you got to come back over here and you got a shot at winning in here if you've done it the right way.
You do like a double elimination sort of
It's
thing.
yeah, you just basically move to the losers bracket, and the losers bracket is the point confidence thing. But you're playing in the losers bracket from week one. Everybody is because there's only one winner that comes out of the guillotine
Right.
cut.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
So then you just
I
pay. I'll pay 150 for, or maybe it's 200, whatever. But I get to play all season, so I don't mind
Yeah.
spending that money.
Yeah, maybe you skew the money a little bit towards the pool for whoever cannot take a
Yeah,
loss. and then the loser bracket isn't, it's not 50-50. You do 200, and it's, 40 of it goes the one way and 60 goes the other, or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
It,
that's not. I like that.
then you're
That's an
playing the whole
interesting.
season, and you're playing. Not, it's kind of a consolation prize, but ultimately you can still win, and you get to play all the college football games. You get to pay
Yeah,
attention to who the picks are. You could even it's just kind of a cool concept to
yeah,
give you something because like guys like us, right? If you get bounced in week 2, you're like, well, pissed. They won $100, and I really like that game.
yes, because that's the main thing for me with all of these is like I realize I'm not going to win all of these, but I do enjoy playing all of them
Yeah,
and sitting down on Saturday and going like, okay, here's how I'm gonna
yeah.
do each one of these things. And as you go along in the season, you get guillotined out, you lose in Survivor, you get bounced in Guts, and you go, I'm getting down to just, luckily still alive. Ben Harper kind of
I got bounced in that
putter,
too.
puttering along. I got, I think I lost like 6 grand or something this week. So not horrible, but
It's not a
you
big gain
know,
like you're hoping.
yeah, I gotta hit a big week
Yeah.
so that I can get back. It's harder to leverage those lower amounts of money.
And it's hard this week because you're traveling. And let's be honest, you're just out of your rhythm. And you've
Oh,
got to
without a
just
doubt.
bet this week to not lose and ground because you
Yeah.
can't do your normal stuff. It's just,
No, because yeah, like Saturday morning is when so I'm gonna have to get up well ahead of a flight and be able to like figure out how I'm going to lock this stuff in so then I can focus on getting through TSA and making it on the plane and whatnot.
yes.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. Hopefully, some of the people ahead of me can stumble this week.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe we have some good upsets.
So that's it for us, Brandon. We've had a different format today, and I kind of like it. But we'll see how
Yeah,
what the audience says. Give us thumbs up, give us thumbs down. Tell us, go back, do whatever. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. Nothing else. Good luck with your picks. We're the St. Louis Syndicate. I'm Nate. He's Brandon.
cheers.